On behalf of the Community Unit School District 300 Board of Education, I would like to thank you for being in attendance both virtually and in person for tonight's board meeting. At this time, I would like to reconvene the meeting of the Community Unit School District 300 Board of Education to order for Tuesday, August 24th, 2021. Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Burkett.
Present.
Fiorentino.
Present.
Lamarca. Present. Scarpino.
Present.
Stevens. Present. Thomas.
Present.
Zettler.
Present.
You have 7 board members present.
Thank you. For those who watched our board meeting 2 weeks ago, and to those who were here in person, you will remember I reviewed the rules of decorum. I would again like to take this opportunity to revisit these rules for any new audience members. My reason and purpose is simple. We as a board want to have a meaningful and productive board meeting. In order for this to occur, decorum must be maintained. Since school started, I visited all 27 of our schools in District 300. In each school, I heard teachers from kindergarten through 12th grade discussing their classroom rules and expectations. However, the lessons that truly stuck in my mind were the ones from kindergarten teachers. These teachers discussed being kind to one another, not raising your voices. Don't interrupt another person when they are speaking, and treating others the way you want to be treated. Additionally, many kindergarten teachers had role-playing activities with their students about how they should act and behave in school. The saying, "All I really need to know I learned in kindergarten," is applicable to this setting. With that said, here are the rules of decorum for this room. First, there is no need for anyone to call out comments during our meeting or to raise their voices, nor to interrupt another speaker or presenter. We as a board will listen to you and be respectful. I ask you to please do the same. Number 2, if a person chooses to be disruptive, I will gavel the person and ask them to please stop their disruptive behavior. Additionally, our district safety officer or his agent may warn them that if they choose to continue to be their disruptive behavior, additional consequences will be forthcoming. Number 3, if a person chooses to continue to be disruptive and not follow the rules, they will be removed from our meeting. This action is a direct result of the person's choice to be disruptive. We as a board will respectfully listen to each speaker. Just because we didn't vote the way some wanted us to does not mean we didn't listen or take into consideration what you had to say. Lastly, please remember, we all learn differently. Some of us take notes during presentations and therefore take our eyes off of the speaker. It doesn't mean we are not listening. And finally, I want to thank you in advance for your cooperation. The board and I look forward to a meaningful and productive meeting. Would you all please rise for the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no additions or deletions to the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Stevens.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Burkett.
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Thomas. Zettler.
Aye.
Lamarca. Aye. 7-0 passing.
Thank you. Moment of silence, Superintendent Harkin.
Yes, we unfortunately had a district sub pass away on August 12, 2021, Margaret Meg Menpa. She was an active substitute. The last time she had substituted in our buildings was at the end of the last school year, and she had been a substitute in many of our schools on the eastern portion of the district since March of 1998. So I would like to have a moment of silence for her, as well as I'd like to have a moment of silence for the passing away of Joseph Fiorentino. For those of you that do or do not know, he passed away, and I can't remember what date, and I apologize, I should have had this ready, but he did pass away. So Steve, I'm very sorry for your family's loss. I know you'll be celebrating him on August 9th or September 9th, and I just wanted to acknowledge that we'll have a moment of silence for both of these people. So could you please bow your head? Thank you.
Board announcements, good news.
Dundee-Crown High School holds first Student Success Summit. Dundee-Crown hosted its first Student Success Summit on August 19th. The Student Success Summit focuses on creating lifelong learning systems. During the summit, sophomores had the opportunity to attend breakout sessions where they learned about careers in various fields. Presenters included educators, counselors, administrators, workforce development specialists, community development specialists, business leaders, community leaders, and police. Every breakout session consisted of a 20-minute presentation that included actionable resources that students can utilize upon graduation. District 300 would like to thank all those who planned the event, including Dundee-Crown Principal Katie Wachowski-Wetzel, Associate Principal of Operations Jake Stoffer, Associate Principal of Instruction, Dr. Asia Gurney, School Psychologist Gina Clinton, Education Service Specialist Jamie Randall, Guidance Counselor Beth McKinney, Avid Teacher Emily Jacobs, Guidance Counselor Lindsay Fire, School Social Worker Peter Ferratus, Success Academy Coach Ashley Nelson, Dean of Students Jason Smith, School Psychologist Piper Stratton, Guidance Counselor Kimberly Gish, and Math Teacher Mary Pasquale.
Boys and Girls Club to host open house for Great Futures Pathway program. The Boys and Girls Club for Dundee Township, in partnership with District 300, will host a grand opening and community open house on August 26th for its new Innovation Great Futures Club to Career Pathway program. The Impact Your Youth Center includes over 40,000 square feet of program space. It is located directly adjacent to Dundee-Crown High School, providing ease of access for up to 150 District 300 students to attend after-school programs. Through the partnership, students will have access to mentoring, essential skills development, guest speakers, facility tours, pre-apprenticeships, the D300 Career Pathway Program, the Elgin Community College Apprenticeship Program, internships, and summer jobs programs. The Impact Youth Center also features a cafe, a culinary lab, a Create Lab, a Tech Lab, and a Build Lab to prepare the students for success in the 21st century workplace. District 300 would like to thank the Boys and Girls Club of Dundee Township for their partnership and all their hard work to create great future clubs to career pathway programs.
District 300 wins INSPRA Award. The Illinois School Public Relations Association, also known as INSPRA, recently announced winners of their annual statewide communication contest. District 300 received an award for our COVID-19 communication plan. Throughout the pandemic, our district has maintained a focus on providing our parents, staff, and school community with the most up-to-date information, especially as external guidance and protocols change. District 300 remains committed to ensuring our families and community remain informed of all notable developments. District 300 would like to congratulate Shannon Flaherty and Nayeli Correa on their work on the District 300's communications plan.
Thank you. Superintendent report.
Thank you, Dr. Scarpino. We have some good news to share tonight. First off, we'd like to introduce our new administrative staff. So if you three would like to come up here tonight, we have Jorge Almodovar, Nikki Berkey, and Joseph Siskowski. And if you guys want to come up, I will introduce you. So Jorge is with us to be our Director of English Learners and World Language. Jorge had worked in the school district previously. I believe his last position was as our Meadowdale elementary school principal. He left us for a few years, and we're very lucky to have him back serving in the capacity of our Director of English Learners and World Language. I'll get back to excellent. Nikki Berkey has joined our HR department. Nikki previously was our principal at Lincoln Prairie Elementary School. She is now our Director of Employee Relations and Recruitment. We've been keeping her very busy since she started as we're looking to fill vacancies that we have in the district, and she's been an excellent asset in that role to support our HR department. And last but not least, we have Joseph Siskowski, who has now stepped in as our Director of CTE, Pathways and College and Career Readiness. Joe comes to us with lots of experience in those areas, and we did consolidate when we had lost Lindsay Sharp, and he's replaced her to then consolidate where we've had more alignment with the programs that he's overseeing. And we look forward to him doing wonderful things to support those programs. So Sarah Bernacki is not here. She has replaced where Nikki had been previously as a principal of Lincoln Prairie Elementary School. She has her open house tonight, so she's not able to join us, but we will have her come back at another meeting so you can meet her. And I do have, like I did previously, I'd like to just let you know I've got a small token that I would like to give you that has a book that says, "May you be proud of the work you do, the person you are, and the difference you make. Thank you for joining District 300." So I just have a small little book for each one of you. So, and so the next item is, this is, I think, always the most fun that we have, or the most excitement of what happens in our schools. And Dan is here. It's not moving. Is here to review our summer construction updates.
I hope it works.
Me too. We're thrilled to show you all the great things that have happened this summer. Oh, thank you.
Hey, can you guys hear me through this?
Yes, and Dan, for everyone to know, for the speakers over there, if you choose to remove your mask, you can, as long as you are in the confines of the partition there, and then afterwards you need to put it back on. Thank you.
I'll stay masked. Anything that hides my face helps me out. So.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, President Scarpino, Superintendent Harkin. May it please the board. It's the last meeting in, it's August, right? It's August. So here we are with some summer construction updates. All right, where do I got to point it? Where? All right, we made it. Okay, this year we embarked on a lot of ambitious projects. The first slide we have here is the roofing replacement at Dundee-Crown High School. We did about half the roof. For what you can read, we ran into a little bit of snag. We found that a lot of conduit was run underneath the roof, took a little bit extra time, but it's all wrapped up, perfect, ready to go. Tuckpointing at Prairie Elementary School. We've done a tremendous amount of work at Prairie over the years. Replaced HVAC systems on the roof, replaced tile inside the building, which we'll get to, painted every classroom, replaced tile in the classrooms, in the cafeteria, and replaced concrete, so it made sense to me to finish off the tuckpointing at Prairie. So that is the finished product of the tuckpointing. We will get to exciting things, I promise. Seal coating, we did seal coating at Neubert, Westfield, Carpentersville Middle School, transportation in Carpentersville, Oak Ridge, Meadowdale, Administration, Golden Eagle Drive, Transportation at Bunker Hill, and Gary D. Wright. The pictures you see here are the new traffic pattern we added at Carpentersville Middle School. Seems to be helping a lot. We got good feedback on it. Concrete replacement, again, nothing super exciting with the pictures. We did concrete replacement at Algonquin Lakes, Algonquin Middle, DeLacey, Dundee-Crown High School, Dundee Middle School, Hampshire Middle School, Jacobs, Lake in the Hills, Liberty, and Lincoln Prairie. I put these slides together because what we do is 1 year we seal coat roughly half the district and do concrete replacement on the other half, and the next year we switch so we don't have the contractors running into each other causing chaos. It seemed to work out, and we'll present our new plans at an upcoming CFOC meeting. Hampshire Middle School bridge replacement. For those in the room that are from Hampshire, the bridges needed some work for a little bit of time. These are some before pictures. This is some of the work being performed, no small task. And this is your end product. Again, for those in Hampshire, this leads out to the practice fields and ball fields, track that's in the back of the school. Prairie, as we talked about before, Prairie Elementary School, we did flooring replacement, hallway, ceiling, grid, and lighting replacement. Here's a few pictures before. Here's some pictures during, again, no small task. Here's your finished product. Excellent looking floors, ceilings, appropriate lighting. Very happy with how it worked out. I would invite any member of the board or administration that is near Prairie, please stop by, take a look at the cafeteria as well. It looks amazing. Hampshire Middle School, same thing. We did some flooring replacement there. This is before. This is the mess during. And here's your finished product. Again, we kind of follow some similar designs with flooring patterns throughout the district. Okay, Dundee-Crown High School, field house flooring replacement, track replacement. Yes, sir.
Before you go there, do we have any final asbestos tile left now?
Minimal.
Good, thank you.
Dundee-Crown High School, we did field house flooring replacement, including both wooden basketball floors, track replacement, bleacher motor replacement, and like I said, wood floor replacement. Here's before. This is a little bit during. More here with the wood floor being laid down. This is your after product. This is the secondary wood floor in the field house. This is a picture of the main competition floor, just about done with the logo. I know it looks real weird right now, you'll see in a second. But behind that, you can see the 5th floor at Dundee-Crown. It's a soft surface floor that was also done as part of this project. This is a little bit close-up of the main horse logo being done at Dundee-Crown. And here's your final product. This Thursday, I will be going to Dundee-Crown to watch the Chargers play the Whippers in volleyball and christen the new court. It will be the first competition there. I hope to see you all there. And with Dundee-Crown playing Hampshire, somebody in District 300 will get a win. So it'll work out. Very happy with this. I, again, urge anybody that can to check this out, obviously following all protocols. We're very proud of this and other projects. Hampshire High School, we did the same thing. Good news was the wood floor was intact, so we were able to keep that. The track was shot. We replaced that. Here's some pictures before. During, we did refinish the floor and repair a few areas. Picture after. When these were done about a week ago, it wasn't completely finished. It is completely finished now. So this is at the end of one of the courts. On each side of this Hampshire logo is flanked with a paw print representing the whipper. And the next slide, well, there you go. And then this is just a portion of the track being down. I will present final pictures of the track at Hampshire High School at the next CFOC meeting, but You guys will be wowed. Again, just like at Dundee-Crown, if you have a chance, please swing by, follow protocols, check out the field house at Hampshire High School. New elementary school is ongoing. Here's some pictures of when it just started. On my right, on the board's left, will be a picture of the retention pond in the front. This is the sewage system going in. Obviously, that has to go in with the infrastructure before the building starts going up. This is grading of the site, getting ready to prepare to pour concrete, and also finishing up some of the retention pond. These are some of the walls going up. More of the same. And that lands us to about where we're at today. Again, for our process, these pictures were taken about a week ago. Dr. Scarpino probably has the most up-to-date photos, but it's coming along nicely. Couple more views here. They are on to the second floor. Pans have been laid. Structural steel is up. They're moving along. Okay, so those are projects that we run through committee, and our construction manager, Lamp, helps out with. Also is designed by our architects, Dewberry and Leggett, with assistance from our MEP, Alara, and specifically Bob St. Mary. Here's some internal projects the buildings and grounds staff did around the district as part of our summer work as well. We replaced the roof and the siding at the Dundee-Crown High School ticket booth. The picture on the right, again, the board's left, will be the 3-color underneath where you go to buy your ticket. We thought to give it a little nice touch. Prairie Courtyard, again, before and after, became overgrown. We couldn't stand for that. Got it cleaned up real pretty. We built about 5 offices for Jacobs down a hallway. Again, our internal staff, carpeting, drywall, electrical, lighting. They did a great job. Hampshire Elementary, I know this isn't the greatest picture, but you see that big storefront with the number 4 on it? We replaced that. That was rusting out. We needed to get that done. So again, the buildings and grounds staff did that. Hampshire High School indoor concession stand. They had a need for it. This was, again, our staff built this inside Hampshire High School. It flanks the cafeteria. I think they also have plans to use it as a possible like spiritware store during different times. You can see the 3 metal gated windows that come up. Turned out really, really great. Carpentersville Middle School Library. Every year we tackle a couple libraries. Our guys redid the carpet in there. And Diane White, who I don't think is here, was very helpful with purchasing the furniture for Carpentersville Middle School. We also built these offices at Carpentersville Middle School. We did carpet, paint, ceiling, lighting, electrical, new doors. Again, following the same carpet pattern that was done in the library to carry it through the building. We placed some stair treads at Westfield that were failing. We split a room at Westfield to create 2 rooms. Again, walls, ceiling grid, lighting, flooring, bases. Dundee-Crown, we built these new offices. Same thing, lighting, paint, drywall, electrical, all sorts of things. This is a professional development center. It's across the street at Bunker Hill, actually the buildings and grounds office. This area is used for many different things. It was tile. It wasn't working. We put down some nice carpet squares. I think it added a nice touch to it and desperately needed to be done. Neubert, again, kind of carried through, taking inventory of what our stair treads look like throughout the district. These are some new stair treads our staff installed at Neubert. Gilberts, we painted the entire cafeteria. We had done some work in there previously, but definitely needed a new coat of paint. Our painter did a great job over at Gilberts working with them and working on their color scheme. Keeping in mind energy savings and reducing our carbon footprint, we continue to replace pole lighting. We use ComEd grants to do this, and then internally we install these ourselves. The LED lights you see here at central office when you leave are the same we've put up at different schools. This summer we did the pole lights and the wall pack lights. For those that don't understand, the wall pack are just all the lights you'll see directly on the side of the building. and we did this at Dundee Middle School, Lake in the Hills, Neubert, Prairie, and Lakewood. That work will continue as we enter into school. I sincerely hate to bring it up, but we're probably not that far away from snow, so we'll focus our lighting replacements inside a few of the buildings. Right off the bat, we're going to do a couple different areas at Prairie and one at Lakewood. Again, going back to Prairie, so we replaced all of the flooring in Prairie, including every classroom. I found it, we've done this every other time in the past when we've done this in a school. We sent our painter in and we painted every single classroom in Prairie. Didn't make sense to put in new flooring and have it not match the walls. Okay, so that's basically what we did this summer. There's a few people I certainly have to thank. Superintendent Harkin, almost 5 years ago, you trusted me to run this department, or maybe you just didn't have any other choice. But previously I was passed over for my age, and you trusted me, and you gave me the job, and I'll never forget it, and I hope I make you proud. Transitioning to being the superintendent, Jennifer Porter is my new boss. Sorry for that. She has done a great job, and I appreciate it. Also want to thank the committee, Construction Facilities Oversight Committee, chaired by Mr. Fiorentino, Ms. Burkett, and filling in Joe. He won't let me call him Mr. Stevens, so Joe and Ms. Zettler as well. LAMP has done a tremendous job in this district of managing some very large projects, and they are the ones responsible for building the new school. Just real quick, Chad and his team, Jay and Chris, are amazing. Our architects, Brian Kerner from Dewberry, Jay Johnson from Leggett, Alara Engineering, specifically Bob St. Mary, our environmental consultant, TEM, and Steve Janicer, keeps all of us safe, and all of the paperwork submitted correctly. My management team has done a great job, and we presented a lot of pictures tonight. You're talking basically about 8 weeks worth of work to get this stuff done. So with the internal pictures, I'd just like to thank the team that I have. They do an absolute great job. I'm just the guy here giving the presentation. They do all the work. They've been recognized by the board before. I'm very proud to be part of this team and to see what they've done. And lastly, and I will probably be out of order, so gavel me if you want. My wife Jenny and my son are here. I just wanted to tell them that thank you for allowing me to be away from home, to complete everything, for making a safe place for me at home to unwind, and you both are my motivation, and I love you. That's it.
There you go.
I'll certainly take any questions.
I would just like to say, Dan, that every year it's kind of routine now what you do, but it is not routine. It is extraordinary, and we really appreciate it. I personally am most impressed with the logo at Dundee-Crown on the gym floor. I think that's absolutely fantastic. But you do a great job, and I hope we never get complacent enough to think that it's the norm. It certainly is not. And as far as you being old, I promise I won't comment about that.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry, were you going to say something? Oh, I just want to second that, and Dan, you know I'm one of your biggest fans. I think your team does an amazing job every year for us, and it's hard to know without seeing numbers on paper, but the fact that our in-house team does all the work that it does saves us a whole bunch of money. And I'm proud that, that you go out of your way to make sure that happens, and I think you guys do a fantastic job, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zettler. I appreciate it.
So, Dan, I've chaired the committee for on and off, I guess, for about 5 years now, your entire tenure. And I'm always amazed by how you attack the problems and how you attack the opportunities. And we as a committee get to see this in the winter, spring. And when we saw this list, this year I think we thought, wow, that's really ambitious, because what you saw, those pictures that represent some of the work that our staff and our partners did, is done in 50 days or so,
Roughly,
give or take.
yeah.
It is truly amazing. And I want to also thank you, the team members, our staff, partners that you've mentioned. And I also want to thank Jenny and your son. I also want to tell them directly a little bit of our conversation, not all of it, but I had a conversation with your daddy a couple weeks ago. And I told him that I think that he needs to take you on a vacation. So just when you go home tonight, you tell him that Mr. Steve said, Daddy, vacation time.
Mr. Steve also said he'd pay for it. So.
Well done, Dan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a
Thanks,
great
Dan.
night.
Thank you.
I just want to say thanks, Dan. Not only are you an outstanding employee, you are a lot of fun to work with as well, too. So, but yes, we've accomplished a lot through the partnership of the CFOC, the board, and certainly Dan's leadership to get all the projects that we've got done. And I believe we have some of the best schools in Illinois with the commitment we've made to updating. And I think the last school that we did that he showed you the pictures of, Prairie, was probably our last school that needed the most TLC, and we have really made that building is gorgeous. If you aren't going to the open house for the Impact Center, if you are, I suggest that you take a tour and go see what that building looks like, because it's just gorgeous. And thank you, Dan, for all you do.
But well, the other thing is we've done this without a referendum, and all of these things were supposed to be taken care of by a referendum that was supposed to be held in 2011, and we didn't do that, and we still managed to do it. So former CFO, current CFO, thank you for that.
All right, so now on to just a COVID update. What we really want to do is just kind of walk you through, since we've been back in school now for 9 days, just how things are trending. And specifically, obviously, we talked previously of all the mitigation and prevention strategies we're doing, and now we're in the session of kids are back in, positive cases are popping up in our buildings. What does that mean to our students? Because as you remember, my commitment was returning to in-person instruction and keeping our kids to in-person instruction. And I can tell you, proud to say, we've had 98% of our students in session since the start of the school year. So everyone knows, again, we have no control over the school quarantine guidance. This very comprehensive chart up here that's very confusing and changes every day, we just got an update from the McHenry County Health Department yesterday, is what we need to follow when we're having a student that's positive on campus and any student that might be in close contact. As of today, because it always changes and it's constantly changing, fully vaccinated students that are 2 weeks post their final dose and remain asymptomatic do not need to quarantine. And I will give you numbers on all of these various groups and where we're at with how we've trended since school has started. But they currently, that is where they're at. If they start to show symptoms in any way, they would then need to get a negative test to return back to in-person instruction. Unvaccinated, I can proudly tell you that the 4 bottom quadrants that say quarantine, 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 those don't matter to us right now, because what they're contingent upon is if we weren't wearing masks or if we weren't doing the prevention strategies, we'd have a lot more kids out that would need to quarantine. But because we have the layered prevention strategies that I reviewed at the last board meeting, and because we're requiring students to wear masks, we don't have those quarantines. So the place you'd go across is if we have an unvaccinated or partially vaccinated student and they're a confirmed case, and we'll talk what close contact means. Since we're following the prevention strategies, as of August 19th, they will need to quarantine if they are not able to meet the Test to Stay program. And I'll talk about what the Test to Stay program is. We started that today, and I'll tell you some good news about that. If If they do not meet that, then there's various levels of what they would need to do to quarantine. We have right now, there's 3 options if you are a close contact and you're unvaccinated, and the test to stay is one of them. You can return to school after 7 days if you have a negative PCR test, or you can just return to school after 10 days. Again, fully vaccinated students are not required to quarantine at all. And again, that is always contingent upon whether or not they have symptoms that are developing. Close contact definition. There's 2 close contact definitions. The first one is 6 feet of an individual infected with COVID-19 for 15 minutes over a 24-hour period. Out in the classroom, it's 3 feet. And just so you know, I know there's some things bubbling up, and I'll talk about some of the prevention strategies that we'll be rolling back. But the conversation of 6 feet for a cumulative of 15 minutes over a 24-hour period was one of the reasons why we were not using lockers. The way that the lockers, the passing periods work, we would have had close contacts if every passing period we'd be at more than 15 minutes over a 24-hour period, and therefore students would need to quarantine in that setting. And again, with my commitment to keep our kids in person and minimize our quarantining, there was a decision initially to do that, and we will be reevaluating that and making a change in that, because we're going to structure that in a way that isn't going to create a close contact, and also listen to our families that are saying, hey, you know, this is a lot for our kids to carry these books around. So again, we started out the year with really tight constrictions, and we'll continue to evaluate and lessen prevention strategies as the year goes on. In the classroom, they're 3 to 6 feet. We are trying our best to have 3 feet between our desks, but unfortunately, fortunately, I'm going to say fortunately, with bringing all of our students back, and some of our classrooms, the desks are not 3 feet apart. So while we would love to say every kid has their mask on and they're 3 feet apart and therefore they don't need to quarantine, in some of our classrooms that isn't the case, and we are having to quarantine students because they aren't able to space out 3 feet. And we also are on buses, due to the nature of buses, that the 3 feet is there, and actually it's 6 feet on the buses, that is probably the place that we're seeing the most amount of students being quarantined. So again, close contact, we have 7, 10, or 14. Again, the health department is, we contact them, our nurses contact them, we explain what the contact was, what the various situations were, what the COVID case exposure was, and they then will let us know what we can offer. Prior to the test to stay, a parent could opt for just, again, 10 days. You just wait your 10 days and you come back in, or 7 days. Again, you have to have a negative RT, PCR, NAAT test and remain asymptomatic or release. The Kane County Health Department has final authority, and again, disclaimer, I know there was a concern because we did change some of the guidance. The guidance is changing regularly, and when we straddle 2 counties, it changes in just because Kane County might be doing something different than McHenry County. We got an update from McHenry County yesterday on the test to stay program, and you know, we will be updating our procedures and our information on that as that occurs, because we have to follow their guidance. So, test to stay criteria. If both students that were exposed, the positive student and the student that was a close contact, were both wearing their mask and consistently doing that, they can opt to participate in the test to stay program. It has to be an indoor exposure. And if you have a household member that is your exposure, that household siblings have to stay quarantined together. It has to be, I'm in a classroom, I was 3 feet, and we were both wearing our masks. As long as that's happening, the student can the next day come and return to our school, and we will perform a Binax Now test with our district nurses. That's the nasal swab test. That's the test that we used for all of our students that were symptomatic last year. And that test takes about 15 minutes. And as long as their test is negative, they can return to the classroom the day that they were at the exposure. They then are required to test on day 3, day 5, and day 7. I was at Gary D. Wright this morning. We returned 15 students back to their classrooms for the parents that participated in, wanted to participate in that program. We did have one family that chose not to participate, and they have some household issues that are going on that, just they have their own medical concerns, and they chose not to. And really at the end of all of this, everybody has to decide where their comfort level is. If you don't want your child tested, this is an option. If you don't want it, you don't have to participate in it. And again, it was highly successful of getting our students back in the classroom that were symptomatic. Shout out to our district nurses, because this is an extra burden that we're putting on, that they're taking on, to get our kids back in our classroom. This is not their normal duties, and I really appreciate their helping us out to get our kids back in our classrooms. And again, we will test this. This was a highly effective test that gives you quick results. And certainly for our families that want to participate in this, this is a great way to have their kids not miss school. We will monitor this. And if something changes and some concerns come out of this, I will trust you. The health department will change whatever we're doing, and I'll have updated guidance. But right now, this is available to our families the day that they get their close contact call and to return to our classrooms. And they are tested immediately by our district nursing staff. Again, the benefits of it is they return to the classroom immediately. It reduces impact on in-person learning. And we also will immediately promptly identify if for some reason a student was a close contact and does become COVID positive, we're going to catch that case right away as well too. So it won't be one that's lingering out there and having concerns and questions about it. So here's our statistics as of yesterday, and I believe we're at 51 right now. We have had 48 positive students since school has started. 2 of those students have been hospitalized. We have had 303 unvaccinated close contact. We have had 63 vaccinated. They didn't have to go home. They came right back to the classrooms. And we have had 16 close contact households. So we've had a total of, since school has started, 430 students impacted by a COVID positive case. We've had 2 staff that have been positive, and we have had no close contacts related to those because those did not happen at the district campuses. The column to the right tells you the quarantine return generally. So for a positive, those students are going to be out 10 days, so 480 instruction lost days. Again, close contacted, unvaccinated, as long as they receive a negative test and are non-symptomatic, they can participate in the option 1, test to say, no lost days of instruction. They can participate in option 2 with a negative PCR test after 7 days and return to our classroom. And again, option 3, 10 days, return, no symptoms, you're good to come back. Again, close contact vaccinated, non-symptomatic, return to our classrooms, but they do need to watch to make sure that they don't develop symptoms. And then last thing, unfortunately with the close contact household, again, the health department will evaluate it. There's conversations if they can isolate appropriately in the building that might change their quarantining guidelines, but it's anywhere from 10 to 14 days, and they would need to be if they're symptomatic, then they have to negative test before they can return to our classroom. And actually, you know what, I think I had why that doesn't total up. We had 12 staff members that were actually symptomatic and immediately came back, and that was what that total was. Because actually the symptomatic I took out. We do have where students, if they are exhibiting symptoms, they just need to get a negative test and they can return back. And again, these are the guidelines as of August 23rd. Again, Kane County will tell us what we should be doing. They are the one that direct us what has to happen with a close contact, and we follow their guidelines. So this is the general parameters under which we would need to isolate our students or quarantine them. So the numbers aren't small, and I think this is the rationale behind why we continue to look at our prevention strategies and keep them in place, as well as follow what we're required to by the governor's order and the other departments and bodies that tell us what we need to do. But I thought this would be a good time for us just to share where we're at. And again, a shout out to our nurses for the work that they're doing to support our kids getting back in the classroom. And then again, the couple of adjustments that we've made is, I think after Labor Day, we'll be looking at lockers for our middle schoolers and finding a way to not make sure that they can be quarantined, but also be responsive to the families that have asked questions about that. And we also at the high school, we started out the year with one-way hallways. That proved to be a little challenging, so we did change that piece of all of it. And I know there's some concerns maybe about some other couple things that's happening at the high schools due to the volume of students. And certainly work with your building principals to then express those concerns, because we definitely, are doing our best to find that balance between what makes sense and what keeps our kids safe in our classrooms. Okay. And I believe that was it. Oh, and last but not least, if we see what would be considered an outbreak, if we keep seeing increased COVID cases in one buildings, we are looking to start our dashboard for COVID cases on Friday, so that you'll start seeing the information by schools. We do have some schools that are higher than other schools. Hampshire High School has currently our most cases in the district. If we have 2 COVID infections occurring within a 14-day calendar that are considered to be epidemiologically linked, that would be considered an outbreak. And again, that will be at the directive of the health department that will then tell us what we need to do. In general, they will look at it, they will make determinations based upon our testing and quarantining that we're doing, that will factor into it. But they will let us know. Generally, what they've told us is they will close down a classroom, a club, or an event. If a classroom had more than 2 students that were near each other that were linked, that classroom would shut down. I do not believe at this point in time that we would close down a school. It would generally, what we've been told is they would close down by club, by event, by classroom. The state is committed to keeping our students in-person instruction, and therefore we will handle it in just smaller groups. I think we have more information now that they are able to monitor and evaluate it and make good decisions by. But that is my understanding, is it would be a classroom if we had to have an outbreak. I do not think that we would be going into a full shutdown of a school unless we changed and reverted back to a full closure that the governor would order. If a classroom were to go into a full quarantine, we would work with our teacher, because depending upon where she was at, but what the thought would be, and we would work that out, and I hope this doesn't even occur, that we would just go to remote instruction where students would be synchronous learning. But again, we'd work that out on a case-by-case basis depending upon what the impact of the teacher was in that situation, and we would work that out with our lead president to make sure that we understand what that expectation is. But at this point, we don't have any current positive cases that are epidemiologically linked. Okay. All right. First day
Susan,
school, but yeah.
Before we get to that, Dan, thank you very much. Jenny, thank you. You and your son, please. It's the weather's starting to change right now. Take off. He's young. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So I don't know. I guess I should ask. Do you have any questions about what was presented? I do want to apologize, and I want to backtrack. So, Carrie Waller, I apologize. You weren't sitting in the row with them, so I'm like, I didn't think she was here, so I apologize. We do have one more staff member that's here, so if you'll just give me a moment. Yeah, sorry. And look how pretty you look. So, Carrie is our new director of math. She replaced Jackie Dujinsky, who went to be an assistant superintendent, I believe, in McHenry. And so we're really thrilled. I don't think I've spent much time with you, so it's been a little crazy. But anyway, so I just want to welcome you and say thank you for joining us. But she is in the central office supporting our buildings on our mathematical instruction, and really look forward to working with you as well, too. And here's a little token for you as well, too. So thank you. And I apologize. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. And last but not least, first day of school highlights. Again, I told you this was an exciting time for us. So we just want to show you some pictures. And then I want to make a brief statement about just, where we are and, just what an incredible moment this was for us to get our kids back into in-person instruction. So here's just some of the pictures that were taken. I've been out in multiple buildings. I know, Dr. Scarpino, you've been in a lot of buildings. But for more than 500 days and 3 separate school years, we finally have our kids back. And I tell you, it was just, it's just exciting. I was in 4 buildings this morning, and it was just so exciting. And it's just so great to see everybody coming together. But parents are excited, taking pictures. Kids are lined up. They're excited. I went to one building at the end of the day. The kids were kind of crying at the end of the day because I think it was a long day, because it's been a long time that kids have been in their classrooms and as many students that we have. But lots of excitement going on, and really just thrilled just to see the energy that we have. But I just want to remind everybody that the District 300 staff has been working tirelessly to support our students' instructional and emotional needs in the most challenging times I can ever remember in education. Please know we didn't ask for this pandemic, nor do we make the rules on operating in a pandemic. Many people have sent beautiful emails thanking the district for its efforts. And for those that have, I thank them from the bottom of my heart for their support. I thank them for trusting us with their students. And I thank them for allowing us to continue providing them the best education possible in the worst situation possible. And I know one thing for sure, the D300 staff, and quite honestly, everyone in public education, are some of the most amazing people I know. While most in our community have been supported, some have been harsh critics. Some have suggested we don't care about our students. And some have made false accusations that the district teaches critical race theory and inappropriate sex education to our students. And for those that want to believe the truth, please know that these statements are not true. While the district is committed to ensuring that all students, staff, and community feel welcome within our schools as a result of their cultural identification, the focus is on the words, all students. This commitment is not about one group being better than another. It is about making sure all our students feel welcome in our schools, whether they are English learners, low income, students of color, students not of color, students with special needs, or whatever makes them unique. District 300 is committed to ensuring we provide a learning community where everyone feels they belong. I believe this human right is the core principle of public education. Since becoming your superintendent, my top priority has been to return our students to uninterrupted in-person learning. At the start of this school year, all D300 students returned to in-person instruction for their first time in over 17 months. Despite the surging cases due to the Delta variant, as I indicated, 98% of our students have remained in their classrooms. And we have been able to accomplish this through the hard work of all of our D300 staff. And at this time, I would like to thank our employees for this effort. Again, to our nurses, thank you for supporting our students and staff's physical, mental, emotional, and social needs. To our classroom teachers, thank you for your willingness to adapt your instruction to support our students in all of the various COVID phases. To our related services employees, thank you for continuing to support the social emotional needs of our students. For our digital learning coaches, instructional coaches, interventionists, and other certified staff, thank you for supporting our students and teachers, especially as we were working in a remote environment. To our paraprofessionals, thank you for addressing the academic and social needs for our most vulnerable students. To our custodial staff, thank you for increasing your efforts to ensure the cleanliness of our buildings to fight the virus. To our maintenance staff, thank you for maintaining and updating our building system to return our staff and students safely to our buildings. To our secretarial and other non-certified staff, thank you for your work to ensure things are running smoothly in our buildings. To our bus drivers, thank you for transporting our students safely to our schools. To our food service staff, thank you for nourishing our students daily. To our principals, thank you for being the glue that has held our buildings together. To all other building administrators, thank you for your work to support students and staff daily. To my central office staff and team, thank you for your focus and commitment to supporting our buildings. And to our Board of Education, thank you for your trust in me to lead our district during a pandemic. No matter what curveball comes our way, Our teachers and staff keep showing up to meet our students' needs, but we are growing weary. It has been a long 500 days. It has been a long 500 days for all humans. I know we are all frustrated with this pandemic, and for that I sincerely share this frustration with all of you. But I hope we can return to a place where we remember that we are not enemies and share much more in common than our differences. Please know the D300 staff and board love our students and want the very best for them. We want to be done with this pandemic and return to our everyday lives. And I hope that day comes very soon. But until then, the D300 staff remains committed to serving our students to the very best of our ability. And I encourage our community to join me in thanking our D300 staff for their efforts to do so. So I just want to say thank you. We're working extremely hard, and we will continue to work extremely hard for you, our students, and our community.
Thank you, Susan. Legislative update.
We do not have one.
Okay. Item number 10 are the consent items under $25,000. As a reminder to those individuals who are in person or watching virtually, all of the consent items under $25,000 have been vetted through either the Finance or Construction Facilities Oversight Committee, CFOC. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items under $25,000?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Zettler.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Lamarca, aye. Burkett.
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 11, consent items over $25,000. Again, as a reminder to those individuals who are in person or watching virtually, all of the consent items over $25,000 have been vetted through either the Finance or Construction Facilities Oversight Committee. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items over $25,000?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Stevens.
Aye.
Zettler.
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Burkett.
Aye.
Lamarca, aye. Thomas. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item 12, roll call item. Do I have a motion for the approval of the resolution authorizing and providing for the issue of not to exceed $6,850,000 refunding debt certificates of the district for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding debt certificates of the district, evidencing the right to payment under an installment purchase agreement and providing for the proposed sale of said certificates to the purchaser thereof.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Can I make a comment before
Yes,
you
sir.
call the roll?
Yes, sir.
I just want, I want to reiterate that this move saves the district a minimum of $60,000 a year over a period of years. So this is a very good financial move on our part.
Excellent, very good. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Stevens.
Aye.
Zettler.
Aye.
Lamarca, aye. Burkett.
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item 12.2. Do I have a motion to approve the on-site professional development services renewal?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, board members? Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Lamarca, aye. Stevens.
Aye.
Zettler.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Burkett.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item 13, board discussions for the joint board committee. Any discussion?
We have not had a meeting since the last one. Our next meeting is, thank you,
September when?
13th.
September
14th.
14th. Okay. Any other board discussion? Any board members have anything?
I do think that the combined meeting is working out very well, and it's getting staff out of here a little bit earlier, so everybody likes that, so.
Any other board members? No? We have had 6 people sign up for public participation. I will call each of you individually up to the podium. Please state your name and relationship to the district, and limit your comments to the allotted time. Please note the following. Each speaker has been provided with the guidance for public participation. Minors need to be accompanied by their parents or guardian. The board will consider your comments, but will not dialogue or engage with speakers in this forum. Questions raised may be assigned to the superintendent for an answer. As appropriate, a member of the administration may reach out to the speaker to give them relevant information or to ask for additional information. This is done to make sure the board has all the information needed to properly address the speaker's concerns. Charges, complaints, or challenges against staff members of the district will not be heard in open meetings and should be made in writing to the board and superintendent. We also ask that speakers refrain from personally attacking district staff or members of the board. Pursuant to board policy, this evening's participants must limit their comments to 5 minutes. We ask each participant to be respectful to all individuals who have signed up to speak and adhere to the allotted time limits. We also ask that speakers conduct themselves in a civil and courteous manner and refrain from trying to engage members of the board in dialogue during public participation. Failure to abide by board time rules or those found out of order by the board may lead to exclusion from the meeting to be fair to all participants. Thank you for your understanding and your cooperation. Our first speaker this evening, 5 minutes, Christina Constanti.
Hi, my name is Christina Constanti, and I'm not going to stand up here today and talk about anything too controversial. What I wanted to say was, in the last year, I've been mainly vocal in email and social media. I've displayed respect to staff, fellow parents, and residents in our community. And I have also received much respect and support by the previous board and staff, including Mr. Hyde, during the height of the pandemic. Social media, as we know, is a powerful and influential tool. It can bring out the best of people and also the worst of people. I belong to the largest Facebook group that has D300 in its group name. Although unofficial, it looks like it represents the District 300 community, and it really does not. Many people who have made differing opinions on there have been ridiculed, name-called, and kicked off. I almost left due to being called stupid, crazy, and a quote, nincompoop by the group administrator. The only reason I stayed on is because of all the private messages from parents and residents thanking me for speaking up when they are afraid to. And that's why I'm here today. This summer, I started with a decent rapport again with the new board and superintendent. And although Superintendent Harkin and Mr. Fiorentino were the only two to respond to my numerous emails, and I know the rest of the board was busy, I appreciate everything. I decided to speak for the first time at the July 13th meeting. I was very nervous, but it felt great to be heard. I came in alone and quickly found individuals who respect my opinion and support me to speak up. After that July 13th meeting, Mr. Fiorentino stayed outside to talk with us for probably about a half an hour, and that really showed that he respected us. Later that day, it was discovered that the video feed of the speakers were cut. Only our audio was heard. Then YouTube removed the video due to medical misinformation. I was in contact with the district staff. I asked the district to appeal the YouTube's decision so that we could just see the board meeting. I was in fact told that, I quote, if YouTube thinks it is medical misinformation, then it must be. When I heard that, my heart sank, and I knew at that moment I was just being pacified. I've gone through many board policies and made multiple Freedom of Information Act requests. Finally, due to their own policy, the video was quietly uploaded to the website. I know it's been a busy 6 weeks as I've researched, networked, and rallied others. I feel that the district has made every step that I've taken very difficult. I've been denied Freedom of Information requests. I've been denied setup to video record the meetings. I've noticed some policies have been changed. And also some speakers at the last meeting lined up and had 5 minutes while some of us who had very prepared speeches were rushed with 2-minute speeches. I could go on, but I just want to say that I am now committed to speaking up at every chance I get to ensure that our community has more transparency from our district. Thank you.
Thank you. And just as a point of clarification for everyone, we are following board policy as far as the number of minutes that are assigned to people. And if you desire to videotape, which several of you are, we are not denying that. So I want to go on the record to just make that correction. Thank you. Our next speaker is Jim Sharkey. 5 minutes.
Good evening, Board, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Superintendent, thank you. I'm here to speak on behalf of a resolution that I emailed to the Secretary yesterday, copied all of you. The resolution is entitled, and I have copies for anyone who would like one, Resolution Declaring the Preservation of Intellectual Freedom and Non-Discrimination in District 300 schools. Now, this resolution is simply part of a nationwide effort to be rid of critical race theory in our schools. I would like to respectfully ask that the board vote on my resolution. I realize I sent it yesterday, it's a little bit short notice, or at this meeting or at your next meeting. I'd like to make myself available either now or at any future time in the interim in the next couple of weeks for any meetings or Q&A of any kind. And I'd like to just, I guess, thank you very much for the opportunity to present the resolution, request your voting on it, and also respectfully request that the Secretary return my email from yesterday at her earliest convenience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Paul Rasmussen. Paul, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Rasmussen. I've lived in the community for about 18 years now, and I'm a father, and my children go to the Dundee-Crown High School. So I haven't come to one of these before. I thought I would come and lend my support and say who I am, and I wanted to thank you all for helping with the community and the schools, and I really think that a true American is someone that works closely with the community and members of the community to create positive outcomes. So I wanted to say thank you, all right? And that's about it.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sharon Fetting. Sharon, you have 5 minutes.
Hello, I'm Sharon Fetting. I was just going to read the speech I originally had 2 weeks ago, since I was one that only had 2 minutes. But I'm going to cut through some of it just because of the stuff that you guys were talking about earlier today. I mean, it just makes my head spin when I sit here and listen of, well, if you're over here for 3 feet or 6 weeks, I'm like, oh my gosh, how many more rules can we make here? But I did notice something I want to bring up that you said on here about unvaccinated kids would have to be tested. You do realize that fully vaccinated kids can get COVID too, right? So why aren't they being tested every other day, third, fourth day, whatever the rule you've got going on today? Because that's discrimination. And I think that can be a problem, because that's exactly why back in June, when I came up here and fought about the saliva testing that you said was participation was mandatory, it was discrimination, so it was opt-out. So I think maybe you want to look at that again, because if you're going to test the unvaccinated, you better test the vaccinated too, because they can get it and they can spread it. And out of this 48 people that you said that got that tested positive for COVID, that stinks. I had COVID. I was bored, but out of the 48, that was out of 28 schools. I believe I counted 28 schools. I could be off on the number there. I'm not even sure what the number is for schools. But anyways, so, and the other thing I want to get into is I'm more concerned about the mental health and physical health of my children than I am about COVID. The coronavirus is a respiratory virus which is spread by aerosol particles which are strong enough to go through every mask. This is a waste of time for us and our kids. Masks are useless. Let's follow the science. We're always going to have COVID and flu outbreaks regardless vaccinated or unvaccinated. So do we plan on doing this forever? Do we plan on wearing these forever? That's not the world I want to live in. Considering I'm out all the time. I don't see people wearing masks, really, until I come to school, and everyone's masked up. But like I said, Great America, stores, restaurants, Cubs games, no one's wearing a mask. I mean, granted, some people are wearing masks now because the government said to wear a mask maybe when you go to the store. But it's just amazing to me that you must wear a mask, otherwise you are disciplined in school. This board is creating an atmosphere of fear and anxiety at school for our children over a virus where there's over a 99.99% of survival rate. School has definitely become a hostile learning environment. I'm so glad my kids are older. I couldn't even imagine having kindergartens wearing masks. I was in speech therapy from preschool to 5th grade, and I cannot even imagine if I couldn't see people's faces when they talked. That is a struggle, and it's horrible. It's horrible that we're doing this to our kids. I still have not received any numbers of who was in quarantine last year. I've asked for them back on August 2nd. I still haven't heard back from the guy. I don't even know where my notes are now. But anyways, how many people actually got COVID from being in close contact? And are you guys going to keep those numbers? Let's find out, all these people you're testing who were in close contact, how many actually got COVID? Because as far as I can tell from last year, no one did, because no one had a number for me, so that tells me it's 0. So let's keep track of that. Let's see, what's the other thing we can talk about here? Oh, when you were saying about what you learned in kindergarten, which is great. I do believe you learn pretty much everything in kindergarten. And I wrote down, you're right about learning everything in kindergarten, which includes be nice to everyone, regardless vaccinated or unvaccinated, unmasked or masked. It's a freedom of choice here. Let's see, what else? The censorship in the school. When are you going to start showing our faces? Is this a permanent thing? So we're just going to always hide behind this piece of paper that you've got, everyone showing the public participation. What are you afraid of? Because people understand more when they can look at you. I see I got 19 seconds left here, and everyone else back at home can see that too. But when are you going to show our faces? What are you afraid of? That's what I want to know. Unmask our kids, and God bless America.
Thank you. Kalela Harmon, 5 minutes.
Hello, my name is Kalela Harmon, and I wanted to touch on the critical race theory.
Could you speak into the microphone? I can't hear you.
My name is Kalela Harmon, and I would like to speak on the rumor for the critical race theory that they're saying District 300 is teaching. Last week, my daughter was called the N-word by a student in District 300, and that is because he was misinformed. He's given misinformation about what's going on in society right now. Race and slavery and history cannot be erased. It's here. Whether parents want to believe it or not, it's a part of our history. It's a part of our Black history. So why would you take that away from students? Also, I did want to say, whether you believe it or not, I was going to read from something, but I'm going to go from my heart. Black Lives Matter is a part of our history. It's a part of our society right now. So you either accept it or you don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Latoya Canny.
Hello, my name is Latoya Canty. I am a parent. I have a senior at Jacobs High School, and I also have a freshman at Jacobs High School. I have a fourth grader at Dundee Highland Elementary, and I am actually alumni of Jacobs High School. I am here to speak on critical race theory. I didn't prepare a speech. I'm just speaking because I'm a Black woman, and I have Black children that live in an environment that's predominantly Caucasian, and the fact that they're already really not teaching much African American history in District 300. You all don't teach critical race theory. I don't think that that is inclusive. I graduated in '99, and when I went to Jacobs, me and my sister and maybe two other people were the only African American population that you all had. My children now go to Jacobs, and their history is important, and it should be taught just like everybody else's history. I don't understand why, when it comes to African American history, there's such a rift or disillusion as to what it is. Slavery did happen. A lot of things happened in our past that has created the environment that we currently live in today, that has created the environment and the climate that we currently live in. And I feel like those things need to be taught, not just to us African Americans, but to all children, because it's a part of our history. We learn about Christopher Columbus and, all of those people, so I don't understand why it would be an issue to learn about our African American history along with the history of America, because slavery is a part of the history of America. It's a part of what brought us to where we are today. And the thought of our children not being able to have the opportunity to be taught that in school is disheartening to me, because I can think of, I learned about Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, and that was pretty much it. And our Black history is so much more broader, so much more grand. There's so many more stories behind what build us up to who we are today as African Americans. And I'm not just speaking for African Americans, Latin Americans, Asian Americans, anybody that's, the Latinx generation, you know what I'm saying? Their history needs to be taught to them because it's a part of our history. If we're teaching history, we need to teach the entire history. I'm not saying that we got to make white people look bad or this race look a certain type of way, but we need to let people know what it is, what really happened. We can't erase our history. It is what it is, and it needs to be taught in order for us to move forward and continue to evolve as a people, to evolve as a culture. We can't just erase it and pretend like it never happened. And the fact that, there's so many people against critical race theory, and I can understand that in some form or facet. I'm not trying to down one race. That's not, I don't want to make one particular race or one, side seem bad or good. I just want the truth to be told. I want my kids to have the opportunity to be able to learn the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If we can learn the truth, the truth and come together, I feel like that would make this a lot more easier for our generation that's coming up. My kids go to a predominantly white school. Okay, so they're like the poster child for every black kid, and I feel like it starts at home. Caucasian parents, black parents, Latin American parents, we need to start it at home. But if we're teaching history in school, we also need to teach African American history. And yeah, so that's just what I got to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the board, I really want to thank all the speakers this evening. I truly appreciate your passion and how respectful you were towards one another. I truly appreciate that. Board members, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Madam Secretary, please take the roll.
Fiorentino,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Lamarca, aye. Burkett,
Aye.
Scarpino,
Aye.
Zettler, Thomas. 7-0.
We're adjourned.